We are Mike and Jeannie, and we restore old houses. In 2021, we moved to South Carolina and bought a 120-year-old Victorian house. Follow along as we put the polish back on this Victorian masterpiece.
Welcome back to 1834 Restoration House.
Jeannie is back with us today, and we have a quick and simple project we're going to do. Something we've been wanting to do for a long time, but just haven't been able to get to it. And the weather is really nice today. So we'll show you what that is after these messages. Have you ever heard true high fidelity sound? I'm not talking about earbuds and Bluetooth speakers. I'm talking about vacuum tubes, transformers, and real speakers. Audio enthusiasts have rediscovered vinyl. They've also rediscovered tubes. Why? Because they sound amazing. Tubes have the clearest, most natural sound. Meet the Daystrom Audio EconoBlock 1 amplifier kit. EconoBlock 1 gives you high-end sound without the high-end price tag. If you're willing to spend a couple of weekends, you can build a pair of tube amplifiers and enjoy them for many years to come. My wife and I built these two amplifiers, and we enjoy listening to them every day. The Daystrom Audio EconoBlock 1 is a mono amplifier, and it requires two of them for stereo. We invite you to visit our website at daystromaudio.com for more information.
Today's program is sponsored by the generous support of our patrons. Your support helps to further our historic preservation efforts. For more information, visit patreon.com/1834 Restoration House.
All right, today's project is going to require a little bit of help from our friendly tools here, scrapers and heaters. But we still haven't told you what it is, have we? Let's go to the backyard and I'll show you. This house was built in the late 1800s, and it's had a lot of things happen to it over the years, including being painted over and over again. So this door has, I don't know how many coats of paint on it, but it's so thick that it's literally falling off in chunks. And because this is an exterior door and it's held together by glue, I really want to get this fixed so that it doesn't deteriorate. Once the door is up on the box, then I can take the heaters to it and strip it. All right, you guys, here is the door on top of the cardboard box. Jeannie and I struggled with this thing because it's solid wood and it is heavy. They don't build them like they used to. But we got it here, and you can really see how bad this is. You've got cracked paint. It's really trying to come off of here. And this is an exterior door. And yes, it does have a screen door over the top of it, which has helped. But I really want to get this door looking good and properly sealed up. If you're joining us for the first time or even recently, this is called a speed heater, and we use this to get paint off of wood. The way it works is it has infrared tubes in here, and it generates a tremendous amount of infrared heat, radiant heat, the kind that really gets in. What it does is it breaks the bond between the paint and the wood, and then I can just simply scrape it off with this. We have a little bit of a challenge today because of the wind, and that might make it harder to do this. So if this doesn't work, I have another tool which I'll switch to. So let's get this thing turned on and warmed up. All right, the paint is starting to bubble up, so I'll pull it back a bit and pull. See there, it's coming off. So I was able to get some of it. I'll put the heat back on and do it again. The other doors in the house that we've done, we were looking for a natural wood finish, but this door was not made for that. This is a paint finished door, and we'll be painting it back. We have so much wind going on today that it's taking the heat away, kind of like a tunnel effect. So I've got the baby speed heater, which they call a Cobra, and it's a lot more intense. And so I'll go ahead and use that instead. But first, it's got a lot of warming up to do. There it is, nicely warmed up. So let's go ahead and work it. This one concentrates the heat a lot more than the other one does. Okay, I can see it start to bubble. There we go. I've made a couple of interesting discoveries here. The door used to be painted green, kind of this really nice forest green. And the other thing I discovered is it looks like the door had a patch put on it to make the bottom be a little bit tighter against the door frame. That's probably about a half of an inch right there. This thing basically turns the paint into putty, and then it scrapes right off. Now I'm not looking for a perfect scrape here because, like I said, this door will just get painted again, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Down here I found a thick layer of wood filler, and it goes along in a stripe through here, which means that this board here is probably broken. And there's also a pin right here that's holding it together. I made an interesting discovery here. Take a look at the door. So this green paint right here, that probably is linseed paint because that stuff is adhered on tight. I'm leaving it on there just because it's so well adhered. There's no reason to take it off. That linseed paint is really good stuff, and it's really hard to get nowadays because you can't just go to your local hardware store and get it. Doesn't this door look absolutely dreadful? If you've ever seen an abandoned building, it probably looks like this on the doors. But it's got to get worse before it gets better. So I'm going to go ahead and continue scraping with the speed heater and pull off the rest of this here, and then we can start putting it back together again. Let's take a look and see what Jeannie has going.
The planter has gotten really bad out of hand. I have had a rough time this summer, having energy and getting a lot of things done, doing much better. So I'm gonna tackle this, clean this up, and see what we wanna do with it. Well, I guess it wasn't last year, it was a couple years ago that we put all these plants in thinking that we got a lot of sunlight. And we've realized we're not getting as much sunlight as I thought, so I really should put different plants in here because most of these are not doing well. All right, folks, I have decided I'm gonna take all of it out. It's not doing as well as I thought, and next spring I will put a whole bunch of annual flower seeds in there, and we'll see what that does. We just don't get a whole lot of sunshine, so we'll see. Where's that tool? There we go. Oh, you know what? I want this one. I think I need to get it over here too because
that thing really got big.
It did.
Right, see if that works. Yep, you got it. All right.
Okay, you know what I think we're going to need to do is clip some of these things off so we can put it in the bag.
Okay.
Okay, now let's see if we can get some of this soil off of this. Well, it's pretty much came off by itself. Very nice. Squirrels like to plant acorns everywhere there is soil. So we've got trees in this bed that we need to get out. I don't know if my little trowel will do it. I think we might have to do the shovel. I'm not getting down far enough with this, so let me grab the shovel. Thank you. The soil is nice and loose, but you see that root? That is huge. No wonder my little trowel couldn't get that. Let's see if we can get this stuff. Whoop. Nope. I don't want to pull the wrong ones. That's all I got? Oh boy, I better dig in there faster. Better. You hear the chimes? Sounds like 2 o'clock. Alrighty. Thank you. Whew.
All right, all of the scraping is done. And now I'm just trying to get all of the paint peelings off of here so I can go ahead and sand it. We're just collecting all the paint scrapings into a bucket. Now that I've done all that, it really looks bad. But I want to go over it with this really coarse sanding cloth here, just to kind of knock it down a little bit and make it to where it's fairly smooth. I'm not looking for fine furniture smooth here. Having it be a little bit rough is actually a good thing because it will give the paint something to adhere to. All right, that's all sanded up. So now I'll just give it a good dusting with a broom. Now the last thing I want to do before I paint is just go over it with an alcohol-soaked rag and just kind of clean the dust off, any fine dust that remains. I want to get that off of there. Down here on this end, you can really see the green paint, which we believe is the first color that was on this door. This is a can of linseed oil paint. It's made in Sweden and it's imported. It's really good stuff. Now, this is not the same kind of oil-based paint that you find at, say, Sherwin-Williams. Okay, that stuff has a petroleum-based oil in it, and it's much different. This is made of flaxseed oil, turpentine, and pigment. Guess what color that is? It's actually white, but the oil is separated, so I'm going to just go ahead and start mixing it up. And believe it or not, that will turn white. And right now it's a caramel color. But you got to trust me on this. It'll become white here in a minute. Now, oil paint like this, linseed oil paint, has a tendency to yellow unless it has sunlight exposure. And the sunlight actually causes the yellowing to disappear. which makes this a really good choice for a house paint. Now look at that. It's not perfectly white. It's kind of an off-white, more like a cream. And for the aforementioned reasons, it's not pure white, but it will turn pure white once it sits in the sunlight for a while. You might be wondering, why didn't we just get rid of this door and replace it? I mean, look at it, it's old and ratty, nasty looking. But when you're doing historic preservation, it's always best to preserve the original fabric of the building if you can. And in this case, we absolutely can. Yes, it looks terrible now, but once we get a couple of coats of paint on here, it's going to look great. Aside from saving money, it's also good for the environment because we're not throwing this door into the landfill. Now, the directions call for 3 coats of thin paint application. So after 2 more coats, this door should look incredible. All right, here's the back door rehung, looking absolutely terrible. Well, all right, here's the thing. We had a door and I had to scrape all the old paint off with the speed heater. And this door was probably badly weather beaten at some point in the past and had no paint on it at all. And so it's really rough, and you could see that this door may actually have been handmade back in the 1800s, maybe. We just don't know exactly what the age is. When I put the second coat of paint on here in a couple of days, it'll look a little better. And then finally when I put the third coat on, which is what the manufacturer calls for, it should be clean and smooth. Now this linseed paint takes several days to dry. It's not a fast drying paint. It is somewhat dry. It's tacky. It's not coming off of my hand, but it's very tacky. They call for letting it dry completely. So I'm going to let this dry for a couple more days until it's no longer tacky. Then I'll go ahead and put coat 2 on it, let that dry, and then put coat 3 on. Yeah, it looks terrible, I admit it. But pretty soon this door is going to look great. With all of these projects that we've had going in the last year, things were getting kind of out of control here. We had piles of lumber and piles of sheet metal and all kinds of stuff. We've already made one trip to the dump today to get rid of a bunch of it. The truck is loaded up with old lumber right now, and we'll be taking that down in just a minute. But I wanted to show you how much better it looks now that we've cut down the grass and kind of cleaned all the junk out of here. So hopefully it won't get that bad again. All right, it's been a productive week. I'd like to thank our sponsors, our patrons, and Daystrom Audio for sponsoring this program. Come back next week because we have some exciting news.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right, so we'll see you then.
Yes, thank you for watching 1834 Restoration House.